Remember my rant about recount versus audit and the reasons that a recount, if the allegations of irregularities are true, would not really uncover very much about those irregularities, and really a full audit is what would be necessary. I won't rehash that rant now, but that rant is particularly relevant given what's going on in parts of Michigan right now, because tons of ballots are being designated as unrecountable. Listen to this. A third of the precincts in Wayne County, which is where Detroit, Michigan is, could be disqualified because of problems with those ballots. Michigan's largest county, not surprisingly, voted overwhelmingly for the Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton in the November 8th presidential elections. But officials are unable to reconcile vote totals for 610 of the 1,680 precincts during a county-wide canvass of vote results late in November. Most of those, again, in heavily Democratic Detroit. And you had a number of circumstances where ballots in precinct poll books didn't match those of voting machine printout reports. This happened in nearly 60% of the precincts. And here's why this is such a big deal. According to state law, when you have a precinct where the poll books don't match with the ballots, it cannot be recounted. And if that happens, they say, you know what? We're just going to stick with the original election results. This is fundamentally a system, Pat, which is set up to prevent the fixing of problems on election day. If there are discrepancies, we'll just go with what we had on election day. The reason that we're looking at this is because there appear to be problems with the results from election day. It's a system that is designed not to be able to solve the problems it's there for.
Yeah, and there always seems to be these issues in urban areas where it's more democratically leaning.
Yeah.
We've seen it in 2004 in Ohio and in Florida in 2000. It just continues.
Oh, it's just a coincidence,
Yeah.
Pat. Don't worry about it. There's nothing strategic or planned about that. It's just merely a coincidence. The elections director for the city of Detroit is Daniel Baxter. He blamed the discrepancies on 87 optical scanners, which reportedly broke on election day, a lot of them jamming when voters put their ballots in. This can result in erroneous vote counts. This can result in all sorts of mistakes and irregularities. And in the meantime, this is where it gets even crazier. The Michigan Court of Appeals ruled that the recount asked for by Green Party candidate Jill Stein won't be done because she has no standing to ask for a recount. Here's the way that the court decided. If you are a candidate who does not stand a chance of winning if the recount goes in a different way, then you are not considered to have standing to ask for the recount. And because of the small vote margin between Trump and Clinton in Michigan, if indeed a recount changed the results, it wouldn't lead to Jill Stein winning. If anything, it would lead to Hillary Clinton winning instead of Donald Trump. And as a result, Pat, a court has said, since Jill Stein was not cheated out of this election, she didn't win no matter what the exact totals were. She doesn't have the right to demand a recount.
In the margin between Trump and Clinton was only 11,000 votes. That was a fifth of a percentage point. I mean, the recount should just be automatic in that case.
Jill Stein is absolutely correct here that we need to have a recount. And I'm getting emails from people saying, David, why not just count the paper ballots? And there's sort of two reasons. Number one, as I mentioned, when you have a discrepancy between the paper ballots and the electronic record, then you just stick with the election results, which is insane. I mean, it's a ridiculous system at its core. But also, there's no guarantee that the paper ballots actually represent all of the votes that were cast on election day. If you have the number of ballots not matching the certified results, there's no guarantee that by recounting the ballots, you're actually going to have the correct number of ballots. As usual, yet another issue that disproportionately is affecting Clinton voters. And as Pat pointed out, when this happened in Florida, when this happened in Ohio in 2000 and 2004, just a coincidence, but it disproportionately impacted places where voters tend to be more Democratic than Republican. Need an audit. The recount will not do anything even if it happens, and it appears that even that is not going to happen.